The radio cut out with a hiss. "Command, this is Reaper 1. We've got multiple hostiles on." The rest dissolved into static. A hard, empty crackle. The kind of silence that could crush a soldier's chest faster than enemy fire. Private First Class Aaron Keller felt it in his bones. 1 second they were tethered to the wider fight, connected, reinforced. The next they were alone in the jagged Afghan ridge line, nothing but sharp rock and colder uncertainty surrounding them. "God damn it," Sergeant Daniel Reyes muttered, slamming the butt of the radio handset against his thigh. "They're jamming us. They knew we were coming." The squad froze in place, crouched along the mountain trail, rifles leveled at nothing and everything. Keller glanced at his brothers in arms, Corporal Knox, sweat dripping through his camo paint, Specialist Carter, who hadn't shut up for a day straight until now, suddenly wide-eyed and silent, and the newest among them, Private Hall, still so green his helmet strap rattled with every shaky breath. Silence is death in the field. Every soldier knew it. Silence meant the enemy was close enough to listen. Then came the first crack. Not the rumble of an RPG, not the chatter of AK fire. A single, sharp pop, the unmistakable thunderclap of a high-powered rifle. Hall's head snapped sideways. Blood misted the air. He collapsed before anyone could even shout his name. "Sniper! Down!" Reyes roared. The squad dove behind jagged boulders, gravel stinging Keller's face as he slid. Another round sang past, ricocheting against stone. The sniper wasn't firing blindly. Whoever he was patient, calculating. Each shot deliberate, each pause heavy as if daring them to move. Keller's heart pounded against the rock. He trained for this. They all had. But training never captured the smell of iron and blood or the way silence could feel alive, watching, waiting. Carter broke it. "Hall's down. Jesus, he's gone." "Shut it." Reyes hissed, eyes scanning the ridges. His hand shot into the dirt, tracing the slope lines. "We find the angle." That shot came from high ground, northwest, 200 meters. Maybe more. "He's got the sun behind him." Knox exhaled slowly, checking his scope. "Shadowed sniper. Bastard knows what he's doing." Another crack. A pebble exploded near Keller's boot. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The ridge line narrowed into a death funnel. The only cover was what they already had. Rocks just wide enough to shield one body each. Move too fast, expose too much, and the sniper would cut them down one by one. "Options, Sergeant?" Keller forced the words out through gritted teeth. Reyes spat into the dust, thinking fast. "We can't stay pinned. Nightfall's 3 hours out. If he's got a spotter, they'll circle on us before then. We need to move." "Move where?" Carter snapped. "Every step is a goddamn shooting gallery." "Unless someone draws fire," Reyes said. His voice was flat, soldier flat, the kind that left no space for argument, only orders. The squad went still. "Don't even think it," Keller said. But Reyes already was. His eyes swept over them, calculating. Keller could see it, the math of sacrifice playing out in his sergeant's head. Someone needed to take the risk. Someone needed to give the others a chance. "I'll do it," Knox said suddenly. He pulled back his bolt and checked his mag. "You three break right through that gap when I draw his scope. Keller, you've got point. Carter, you cover him. I'll circle wide, maybe get eyes on the bastard if I don't get my head blown off first." "You're not pulling cowboy shit on my watch," Reyes growled. "That's an order." Knox smirked, bitter as gunpowder. "With all due respect, Sarge, orders don't mean squat if we're already corpses." Keller swallowed hard. This wasn't training. This wasn't neat, clean battlefield doctrine. It was math written in blood. "Give me smoke cover," Knox muttered, already unclipping a grenade. Before Reyes could stop him, Knox yanked the pin and rolled it downhill. The canister hissed, billowing white clouds across the rocks. "Go!" he barked and then broke from cover, sprinting into the haze. The sniper cracked again. Keller flinched, but Knox kept running. The bullet clipped rock behind him. "Move, move, move!" Reyes shouted. Keller bolted from cover, heart slamming, rifle raised as he charged through the smoke. Carter was at his heels, Reyes behind them. Gravel tore under their boots. They didn't know where the sniper was, they just knew forward was better than pinned. Another shot split the air. This one hit. Knox jerked mid-run, dropping to one knee before staggering up again, dragging himself behind a ridge outcropping. "Knox!" Keller shouted, but Reyes shoved him forward. "Keep moving, damn it." They crashed into a narrow ravine, lungs burning. The sniper fire ceased as if he'd vanished back into the shadows. "Status?" Reyes barked. "Carter up." I'm good. Keller up. Still breathing. They all turned to Knox, who stumbled into the ravine moments later, clutching his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. Clean through, Knox grunted, teeth bared. Hurts like hell, but I'll live. Reyes tore a bandage from his kit and pressed it against the wound. You're lucky the bastard aimed quick. He's not trying to waste rounds. He's testing us. Hurting us. Keller scanned the ridge tops. The sun was dipping lower, shadows stretching like knives. The sniper had the advantage until dark, but after? Darkness was their only ally. Carter slumped against the rock, panting. So what now? We wait. We pray. Reyes' eyes hardened. We hunt. Keller blinked at him. Hunt? He's got the high ground, the scope, the position. He's one man, maybe two if he's got a spotter, and he's bleeding us dry. Exactly, Reyes said. One man. We've got four. You want to sit here and die slow, be my guest. But me? I'm not letting some shadow pick off my squad one by one. The silence after his words was heavy, broken only by Knox's strained breathing. Finally Keller spoke. All right, Sergeant. Then we hunt. Night came cruel and fast in the mountains. The temperature plummeted and every sound carried further. Crickets buzzed. Stones tumbled. Somewhere in the darkness, a wolf howled. And still no more sniper shots. Which was worse. The silence wasn't mercy. Was a game. Reyes spread a map across the dirt, pointing with a gloved finger. We're here. If I were him, I'd set up on this ridge line, good sight lines, natural cover, moon at his back. Keller, you're with me. Knox, you and Carter flank low. If he's got a spotter, he'll be downrange somewhere. Carter, you nail him. Knox, you stay alive. Knox managed a crooked grin. Thanks for the pep talk, Sarge. Keller checked his rifle, chambered around. His hands were steady now, not because the fear was gone, but because the fear had settled. A soldier learns to live with it the way a diver learns to breathe underwater. They moved out in silence, boots muffled by dirt and rock. The moonlight cast jagged shadows across the ridge. Every bush looked like a crouched man, every boulder a rifle barrel. Keller's ears rang with phantom gunfire. He kept his eyes forward, rifle raised. Then he saw it. A glint just for a second. The kind of reflection only glass makes. High on the ridge, right where Reyes predicted. He froze, tapped Reyes' shoulder, pointed. The sergeant nodded once. On my mark, he whispered. Carter and Knox were already in position, circling low. The trap was set. But war laughs at plans. Because the sniper moved first. The crack tore the night apart. Carter screamed, falling sideways into the dirt, clutching his leg. Ambush! Keller shouted. The ridge exploded in fire. Not just one rifle, three. Automatic bursts rained down, tracer rounds slicing the dark. It wasn't one sniper. It was a team. Fall back. Reyes roared. Keller grabbed Carter by his vest, dragging him behind a rock as bullets chewed into the earth around them. Knox fired back wildly, shouting curses. The silence was over. The hunt had begun. And the shadowed sniper wasn't hunting alone. The first bullets shredded stone inches from Keller's face. Chips of rock stung his skin, hot and sharp like sparks. He ducked lower, dragging Carter's limp weight into cover. God damn it, it's not one sniper. Keller shouted over the storm. It's a kill box. Carter's voice was ragged with pain. They baited us. His hands pressed to his thigh, blood pulsing through his fingers. Reyes pressed his back to the rock, eyes hard. His voice cut through the chaos with the force of command. We're not dead yet. Knox, suppressing fire now. Knox roared and swung his rifle over the boulder, firing in wide, sweeping bursts. The muzzle flash lit his face, sweat streaking through the grime. Tracers carved arcs into the night, forcing the enemy to duck behind their own rocks. Move while he's got them pinned. Reyes ordered. Keller hauled Carter tighter, gritting his teeth. Carter wasn't small, 6 feet, broad shoulders, but adrenaline made Keller's arms feel like steel cables. He half-dragged, half-carried him deeper into the ravine while Knox's gun thundered overhead. Another crack split the night. Knox's weapon went silent mid-burst. Knox! Keller yelled, whipping around. Knox slumped against the rock, a dark hole punched through his helmet. His rifle slid from his grip, clattering into the dust. For a moment, the firefight disappeared. Keller didn't hear the gunfire. Didn't feel the ground. Just the hollow thud of Knox hitting the dirt. Reyes' hand clamped Keller's shoulder, dragging him back to reality. We can't stop. Get Carter out. Keller's vision tunneled, grief turning white-hot. Knox was gone. Just like Hall. 2 men in less than an hour. And still the bastards up there laughed with every bullet. Rhea's voice cut sharp. Keller, look at me. You leave him or we all die here. Move. Keller's jaw clenched, but he nodded. War was cruel math. He had no choice. He grunted, hauling Carter further down the ravine, searching for deeper cover. Reyes followed, firing short, controlled bursts to keep the enemy's heads down. Knox, Carter whispered through clenched teeth. His face was pale, eyes wet. Shut up and stay awake, Keller growled. His voice cracked, betraying the tremor in his chest. Don't you dare close your eyes on me. The gunfire intensified. 3 rifles, maybe 4 now, hammering their position. Dirt erupted around them. Shards of rock peppered their gear. They're hurting us again, Reyes muttered, breath hot in the cold night air. Pushing us deeper. They want us boxed in. Keller dropped Carter behind a slab of rock and pressed his back to it, chest heaving. Then what? We sit here until they close in? Reyes checked his mags. 2 left. He swore under his breath. No. We make them pay for every inch. The firefight dragged on, brutal and relentless. Keller squeezed off shots whenever he caught the faintest shadow moving against the ridge, but the enemy was disciplined. They fired in staggered bursts, never exposing themselves for long. Professional. Organized. Not local militia. These were trained killers. Carter groaned, shifting. Blood seeped faster through the makeshift bandage. I'm hit bad. Don't talk, Keller said, tearing his medkit open. His hands moved automatically, tightening a tourniquet above the wound. Carter hissed, biting down on his glove to keep from screaming. Reyes crouched beside them, eyes scanning. His tone softened for the first time that night. Hold on, Carter. You're not dying in this shithole. Not tonight. Carter forced a grin despite the pain. Didn't think you cared, Sarge? Reyes smirked back, bitter but human. Don't make me regret it. Another volley of fire tore overhead, showering them in dust. Keller's head snapped toward Reyes. We can't stay pinned. They'll close in and finish us. We need an out. Reyes' jaw tightened. He looked up at the ridgeline, then back at Carter. For a moment, the sergeant's mask slipped, and Keller saw the calculation, the same brutal math as before. I'll draw their fire, Reyes said quietly. No, Keller snapped instantly. Don't you dare. You pull Knox's stunt, you'll end up the same way. Reyes gripped his rifle, expression unreadable. Someone has to. You can carry Carter out. I can't. You've got the legs. I'll buy you the time. Keller's stomach nodded. He couldn't lose another one. Not Reyes. Stop thinking like a hero, Keller growled. Think like a soldier. That pulled Reyes up short. The sergeant blinked, surprised by the steel in Keller's tone. Then slowly he nodded. All right. So what's the soldier's play? Keller's mind raced. Terrain. Angles. Ammo count. Enemy discipline. All of it spinning in his head like a tactical puzzle. Finally it clicked. They're hunting us from the high ground. Fine. Let's flip the board. We use the ravine, draw them in close. They think they've got us trapped? Good. We make it a kill zone. Reyes' mouth curved into a grim smile. Now you're thinking. They set the trap fast. Reyes laid claymores in the narrowest choke point of the ravine, half buried in dirt and angled toward the ridge path. Keller scavenged Knox's extra mags, tucking them into his vest with shaking hands. Carter lay against the rock, pale but conscious, cradling his rifle with grim determination. You're bait, Reyes told him. You fire just enough to make noise. Don't burn your mag dry. Carter nodded weakly. I can still shoot. Keller crouched beside him. You shoot, then you stay down. We'll handle the rest. The plan was simple but deadly. Lure the enemy into thinking they had cornered their prey. Then, when they funneled into the ravine, detonate the claymores, cut them down in the kill zone, and finish whoever survived. Now came the hardest part. Waiting. Minutes crawled like hours. The enemy fire tapered off, then stopped entirely. The silence returned, heavy and suffocating. Keller's palms sweated against his rifle. His breath slowed. Every muscle screamed to move, to run, but he stayed frozen, waiting for the shadowed figures to appear. A pebble clattered. Then another. Shapes emerged at the ravine mouth, dark figures with rifles raised, moving with chilling precision. At least 4. Maybe more. Keller's pulse thundered in his ears. He raised a hand toward Reyes, who held the detonator. Closer. 10 meters. Reyes' thumb hovered. 5 meters. Now, Keller whispered. Reyes pressed the trigger. The ravine erupted in fire and steel. Claymores detonated with a deafening roar, blasting shrapnel in a cone of death. The first two enemy soldiers were shredded instantly, torn apart by hundreds of steel balls. The others staggered, screaming, rifles clattering to the dirt. "Light 'em up!" Reyes roared. Keller popped from cover, firing controlled bursts into the chaos. Bullets tore through shadowed bodies. One dropped, another spun and fell. Carter added his fire, teeth gritted against the pain. His rounds found a target, cutting another down as the man scrambled for cover. The ambushers became the ambushed. But the fight wasn't over. Because the sniper hadn't fired yet. The silence stretched again, eerie after the thunder of explosions. Reyes scanned the ridgeline. Where the hell is he? Then the crack came. Reyes' head snapped back, blood spraying the rocks. He collapsed without a sound. "Sergeant!" Keller screamed. The world blurred. His sergeant, his anchor, was face down in the dirt, unmoving. A hole through the side of his skull. The sniper had waited. Patient. Cold. He let his men die just to get Reyes when he exposed himself. Rage ripped through Keller. The kind of rage that burned hotter than fear. He ducked as another round tore into the stone above him. The sniper had his scope trained, watching. Waiting for Keller to break cover. Carter shouted hoarsely, "Don't! He's got you zeroed." Keller's mind spun. He couldn't peek. Couldn't move. The sniper owned every angle. Unless Keller turned the silence against him. He reached for Knox's dropped smoke grenade, fingers trembling. Pulled the pin. Rolled it out into the open. White clouds bloomed, drifting with the night breeze. Keller counted to 3. Then he bolted. He sprinted up the ravine wall, boots slipping on loose rock. Another crack echoed, but the bullet missed, whistling through smoke. He kept climbing, teeth bared, lungs burning. The sniper fired again. Missed again. The smoke was breaking his sight line. Keller reached the top. And there he was. A shadow crouched behind a rock, long rifle glinting in the moonlight. The man turned, eyes widening behind the scope. Keller didn't hesitate. He squeezed the trigger. 3 rounds slammed into the sniper's chest. He toppled backward, rifle clattering away. Keller stood over him, chest heaving, rifle trained. The sniper gurgled, blood bubbling from his mouth. But even as he died, he smiled, a cold, knowing smile. Because behind him, deeper in the shadows, another rifle shifted. Keller spun just as a second sniper pulled the trigger. The world went white. The shot hit like thunder. Keller spun, rifle jerking as the round tore across his helmet. The impact knocked him flat on his back, the night sky exploding in sparks and stars. For a heartbeat he thought it was over, that his skull was gone, cracked open like Knox's. But as his fingers reached his head, he found only a shallow groove across the Kevlar, hot blood dripping down the side of his face. The sniper had missed by an inch. Not by accident. By calculation. The man in the shadows stepped forward, tall and lean, face hidden by a black scarf. His rifle gleamed in the moonlight, already chambering the next round. Keller rolled, teeth gritted, and fired from the ground. Bullets sparked off stone as the sniper slipped sideways, vanishing into the smoke. "Bastards toying with me," Keller muttered, staggering to his feet. Another crack echoed, this one not at him but down below. "Carter!" Keller roared. He sprinted back down the slope, boots skidding on gravel. Carter was pinned against the rock, his rifle limp, his leg bleeding worse than before. A bullet had smashed into the stone inches from his head. The sniper wasn't aiming to kill yet. He was pushing. Hurting. Just like before. Keller dove beside him, firing wildly toward the ridgeline to keep the enemy's head down. "You alive?" he barked. Carter grimaced. "Barely. What the hell happened up there?" "2 snipers. One's down. Other one's a ghost." Keller ripped a new mag from his vest, slamming it into his rifle. "And he's not here to miss." Carter coughed, spitting blood. "Then we're screwed." "Not yet," Keller growled. They regrouped behind the largest boulder, breaths ragged, sweat freezing against their skin. Reyes was still lying where he'd fallen, eyes open and glassy. Keller forced himself not to look at him too long. Not yet. If he stared, he wouldn't be able to move again. Carter leaned his head back, shivering despite the desert night. "We've lost Hall, Knox, Reyes, it's just us." Keller didn't answer. He was counting ammo. 2 mags left. Carter had maybe half. The enemy still had at least 1 sniper, maybe more foot soldiers. The math wasn't good. But math didn't matter anymore. They weren't surviving by numbers. They'd survive by being unpredictable. Carter broke the silence. Why the hell are we worth all this? We're just a recon squad." Keller's jaw tightened. He thought back to the mission briefing. The satellite images of a remote valley, rumors of weapons smuggling through the mountains, a local warlord slipping foreign fighters across the border. The brass had said it was a routine scout, in and out, eyes only. But nothing about tonight was routine. Maybe we walked into something bigger, Keller muttered. Something they didn't want us to see. Then we're dead men walking. Keller finally met Carter's gaze. Not yet. The enemy changed tactics. Instead of suppressive fire, there was silence. No cracks, no bursts, no movement. Just the wind whispering through the ravine. Keller knew what that meant. They were circling. Closing in. Listen, he said, grabbing Carter's vest. We've got two options. We sit here and wait for them to finish the job, or we push through them and get out. Carter's laugh was bitter. Push through? With what? I can barely stand. Then you crawl. But you're not dying here. I'll drag you if I have to. Carter studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded once. All right. One last push. Keller pulled Rhea's dog tags, sliding them into his pocket. We bring him home. All of them. Or this was for nothing. Carter clenched his rifle. Then let's make it count. They moved out slow, using every shadow, every rock. Keller led, scanning through his scope, heart hammering. Carter crawled behind him, teeth clenched against the pain. The silence was worse than the gunfire. Every step felt watched. Every shadow whispered danger. Then a voice cut through the night. You Americans fight hard. Keller froze. The voice was calm, accented, drifting from the darkness. Not shouted, spoken as if the man was standing right beside them. You lose men, you keep moving. You bleed, but you don't break. Admirable. Carter's hand trembled on his rifle. Keller motioned for silence. The voice continued. But this is not your land. You do not belong here. And men who do not belong, a pause, chilling. They die here. Keller's stomach knotted. This wasn't just an enemy sniper. This was someone who enjoyed the hunt. He whispered to Carter, keep low. He's trying to bait us. A shot cracked. Stone exploded inches from Keller's head. The voice laughed softly. You're predictable. Keller's rage boiled over. He ripped another smoke grenade from his vest, yanked the pin and hurled it uphill. Move, he barked. They scrambled through the haze, boots and elbows scraping rock. Keller fired bursts into the smoke, not to hit but to confuse, to mask their movement. Another crack. The bullet missed, slicing through empty air. Left flank. Keller hissed. They shifted, ducking under a ridge overhang. Carter collapsed against the wall, panting, his face pale as chalk. I can't keep this up, he gasped. You can, Keller said, gripping his shoulder. You will. We end this now. He glanced around. They were close to the ridge top. If they could flank high, maybe they could catch the sniper in his nest. But it was a gamble. Everything tonight was a gamble. They climbed inch by inch, keeping low. Keller's ears strained for any sound, the scrape of boots, the shift of a rifle. The sniper was out there, watching, waiting. Halfway up, Carter slipped, sliding on loose gravel. The noise echoed like a gunshot. Keller froze. A crack split the night. Carter jerked, choking. A round punched clean through his chest. He fell back against the rock, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Carter. Keller lunged, catching him as he collapsed. Blood poured through Keller's hands, hot and slick. Carter's eyes locked on his. Don't stop. Stay with me. Keller begged, pressing hard on the wound. Carter coughed blood, lips trembling into a faint smile. Finish it, for all of us. Then his eyes went still. Keller's hands shook, pressing harder as if he could will the blood back in. But deep down he knew. Carter was gone. Another brother dead in the dirt. Keller's scream tore the night apart. The sniper's laugh answered him, cold and hollow. You see now. One by one. Until you are alone. Keller laid Carter down gently, pulling his dog tags free. His hands were soaked in blood, but his grip on the rifle was steady. He rose to his feet, eyes blazing. You want me alone? He shouted into the darkness. Fine. Come get me. No reply. Just silence. But Keller felt it. The hunter's eyes. The crosshairs searching for him. He moved, fast and jagged, darting from rock to rock. Every step was fire in his veins, every breath a vow. Knox. Oh. Riz. Carter. Their deaths wouldn't be wasted. He was done being prey. Now he was the hunter. The ridgeline loomed ahead. Keller dropped to his stomach, crawling through dirt, rifle steady. His ears strained for the faintest shift, the whisper of movement. There. A shadow moved against the rocks. A faint glint of glass. Keller lined his sights, breath slow. The sniper shifted, rifle angling. Keller fired first. His round smashed through the glass, the scope exploding in a spray of shards. The sniper staggered, cursing, clutching his eye. Keller charged, closing the distance. He fired again, hitting the man's chest. The sniper collapsed, gasping. But as Keller stood over him, rifle raised, the man laughed through bloody teeth. "You think I was alone?" he rasped. Keller froze. From the shadows, more figures rose. 3, 4. Rifles raised. The true ambush revealed. Keller's chest heaved. His mag was nearly empty. He was one man against 4. And yet, for the first time that night, he smiled. Because if this was where it ended, it would end with fire. He chambered his last rounds, lifted his rifle, and stepped into the open. "Come on," he roared. "Let's finish this." The night erupted in gunfire. The first explosion tore through the night like the crack of God's own whip. Sergeant James Hawk Hawkins hit the dirt, ears ringing as fire blossomed behind the convoy. The MRAP at the rear screamed in metallic agony, black smoke curling skyward. The concussion rattled his teeth, shaking dust loose from the ruined houses around them. "Contact, contact, rear vehicle hit." Corporal Diaz's voice cut through the chaos over comms, strained and panicked. Hawk's instincts took over. "Get off the road. Get into cover." His squad scattered, diving behind low walls and into doorways as more explosions shattered the night. The Taliban had waited until the convoy was halfway through the narrow valley pass, boxed in by ridges and broken houses. Classic kill zone. Tracer fire lanced down from the ridgeline, ripping the air with red and green streaks. A second vehicle shuddered, tires blown, its gunner slumping lifelessly against the shield of the .50 cal. The smell of burning rubber and diesel mixed with blood and dust. Private Allen froze in the open, eyes wide, until Hawk grabbed him by the collar and yanked him behind a wall. "Move, rookie. You freeze, you die." Hawk barked, shoving the young soldier down. Allen gasped, chest heaving. "Yes, Sergeant." Another rocket-propelled grenade slammed into the road, showering them with gravel. Hawk didn't flinch. His men were pinned. He needed to think. "Ramirez, where's that fire coming from?" Hawk shouted. Specialist Ramirez, already prone with his optics, growled, "High ground, East Ridge. RPG team moving between boulders. At least 10, maybe more. Diaz, get the saw up. Pin him." The light machine gun rattled to life, barking fire into the ridge. Hawk rose, firing short, controlled bursts from his M4, sending 2 silhouettes scrambling for cover. Still, for every one enemy suppressed, more muzzle flashes erupted like fireflies across the ridge. They were surrounded. The distress call. "Blackjack actual, this is Bravo 2-1, troops in contact, heavy ambush, grid coordinates," Hawk yelled into his comms. Static drowned him out. He tried again. Nothing but a hiss. Radios jammed. Ramirez swore, slamming the handset against the dirt. "Perfect. Cut off. No air support. No quick reaction force. Just them." Hawk grit his teeth. "All right, we play this smart. No panic. Keep low, keep your fire disciplined. We're not dying in this valley." Bullets chewed the wall inches above his head. He ducked. Private Allen whimpered, fumbling with his ammo. Hawk smacked his helmet lightly. "Breathe, kid. Control it. You're still alive. That means you can still fight." Allen nodded shakily, fingers steadying. For a brief second, Hawk saw his own reflection from years ago, fresh out of training, eyes too big for his helmet, thrown into hell with men twice his size. He'd had someone grab him too. Remind him he wasn't alone. That memory steadied him now. Splitting the squad. The valley walls echoed with gunfire. The convoy was shredded, 3 vehicles disabled, burning, their radios useless. The survivors of other squads were either pinned or already dead. Hawk crawled toward Diaz and Ramirez. "We can't hold here. We stay, they pick us off. We move, we got a chance." Diaz spat dust. "Move where, Sergeant? They've got the high ground locked." "Through them." Ramirez gave a humorless laugh. "Through? You got something up your sleeve besides guts." Hawk smirked grimly. "Yeah. Anger." He jabbed his finger toward the smoke-filled ridgeline. "We hit 'em fast, break their line, push through. We find cover past the ridge, regroup, and figure out extraction. Anyone stuck behind gets eaten alive. Or," Diaz said darkly, "we get mowed down halfway." "That's war," Hawk snapped. Then softer, "But if we sit here, we're already dead. I'm not leaving bodies for them to parade. We move." The men exchanged glances. Nods followed. "Trust the charge, Allen." You stick with me. Diaz Ramirez lay down fire. 3 bursts then shift. Yes, Sergeant. On my go. Go. The squad surged from cover, boots hammering the dirt. Hawk's M4 spat fire, bursts cutting through smoke. He saw an RPG gunner pop from behind a boulder. Hawk dropped him before the tube cleared his shoulder. Bullets rained down, dirt exploding at their feet. Alan screamed, stumbling as rounds whizzed past, but Hawk shoved him forward. Keep moving, don't stop. Diaz's saw thundered, chewing holes in the ridge, keeping the enemy ducked. Ramirez picked off a sniper who had them lined up. The squad gained ground, climbing the slope in bursts, pausing only to fire. A grenade exploded too close. Hawk felt shrapnel tear across his arm, hot blood searing his sleeve. He staggered, hissed, but kept moving. He couldn't stop. Sergeant, you're hit. Alan shouted. Shut up and climb. Hawk growled, pushing the kid ahead. Close quarters. They reached the ridge's edge, smoke swirling around jagged rocks. Hawk slammed his back against stone, catching his breath, then signaled. Ramirez lobbed a frag grenade over the ridge. A scream followed the detonation. Go, go, go. They stormed the ridge, rifles up. Hawk's first shot dropped a man reloading his AK. Diaz swung his saw, cutting 2 more before they could react. Suddenly they were face to face, no longer distant silhouettes, but flesh and blood fighters with fear and rage in their eyes. Hawk's world narrowed to bursts of gunfire, shouts, and the pounding of his own heart. A fighter lunged at him with a knife. Hawk caught his wrist, twisted, and drove the blade into the man's chest. He shoved the body aside, adrenaline burning through pain. Alan fired wildly, panicked, nearly hitting Diaz. Hawk grabbed his barrel, yanking it down. Control, damn it. He was. You miss, you kill us, not them. Focus. Alan's face was pale, but his eyes hardened. He nodded, steadying his aim. The price of survival. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, silence fell. Smoke drifted, mingling with the stench of blood and cordite. Hawk's squad stood, bruised, bloodied, but alive. Around them, enemy fighters lay sprawled, weapons scattered. Diaz leaned on his saw, breathing hard. We actually made it. Not yet, Hawk said grimly. He looked down the far side of the ridge. The valley stretched on, dark and unforgiving. Smoke from the burning convoy curled behind them, a grim marker. Ramirez crouched, checking ammo. Low. Real low. If another wave comes, we're screwed. We'll find supply if we push deeper, Hawk said, though doubt gnawed at him. But first, we check for survivors. Diaz's head snapped up. Survivors? Sergeant, we barely crawled out. Going back is suicide. No man left behind, Hawk said, voice iron. The squad fell silent. They knew the rule. But rules didn't make it easier. Finally, Alan spoke. His voice cracked but carried weight. If it were me out there, I'd want someone to come. Diaz cursed under his breath. Damn rook. But Hawk saw the flicker of pride in his eyes. Alan was learning. Becoming a soldier. Ghosts in the smoke. They moved back cautiously, weaving through wreckage. The MRAP still burned, ammunition inside popping like fireworks. Over here. Ramirez called, kneeling beside a bloodied figure half buried under debris. Private Jenkins. Barely alive but breathing. Hawk dragged him free, ignoring the pain in his arm. We've got him. Diaz, cover. A sniper round cracked, inches from Hawk's head. He ducked. Sniper. High ground west. Ramirez barked. The men hit the dirt, dragging Jenkins to cover. Hawk snarled. Another hunter. Always another shadow waiting. He scanned the ridge. The glint of a scope caught his eye for half a second. That was enough. Ramirez. Mark him. Ramirez steadied, breathing slow. His rifle cracked. Silence followed. Then another glint, further left. Hawk's stomach dropped. There's more than one. The waiting game. The squad huddled behind wreckage as sniper fire pinned them. Jenkins moaned, bleeding badly. Alan pressed bandages, hands trembling but steady. We can't sit here, Diaz hissed. Agreed, Hawk muttered. His mind raced. They couldn't outrun snipers. They had to outsmart them. He studied the angles, the smoke, the terrain. A memory flickered. His old squad leader in Fallujah teaching him about bait and movement. You don't fight ghosts head-on. You make them show themselves. Diaz, give me smoke grenades. Alan, stay on Jenkins. Ramirez, you're with me. Diaz handed over grenades, eyes wide. You're not. Yeah, I am. Hawk pulled the pin, tossing smoke in wide arcs. Clouds billowed, obscuring vision. On my mark, DS, suppress fire. Make it loud. The air filled with deafening rattle as Diaz unleashed hell. Hawk and Ramirez crawled low, flanking left under cover of smoke. The snipers fired, blindly guessing. One round whistled past Hawk's ear. He didn't flinch. Ramirez spotted a figure shifting behind rock. There. Hawk steadied. His M4 barked. The figure dropped. Another shadow rose behind them. Ramirez nailed him clean. Silence. Only the crackle of burning vehicles remained. Hawk exhaled. Snipers down. For now. A new threat. Dragging Jenkins between them, the squad regrouped. Exhausted, ammo nearly gone but alive. Diaz glanced at Hawk. So what now, Sergeant? Keep running until the mountains swallow us. Hawk stared at the horizon, where faint lights flickered in the distance. Not village lights. Moving. Search patterns. His stomach sank. No. Now we run faster. Because they're coming. Alan's voice was small. Who's coming? Hawk didn't answer. He knew. Reinforcements. Enemy forces converging, drawn by smoke and fire. They weren't out yet. Not by a long shot. The smoke had thinned, but the valley still stank of burning metal and blood. Sergeant James Hawk Hawkins crouched low, rifle tight against his shoulder, eyes scanning the distant ridges. The faint, bobbing glow of enemy flashlights grew sharper with every second. They weren't just looking, they were coming. Movement 12 o'clock, Ramirez whispered, glassing through his scope. His voice carried the flat certainty of a man who'd stared death down too many times. At least 2 squads, maybe more. They're spreading wide, trying to box us. Diaz cursed, rubbing his grimy face. We can't outshoot a whole damn company with 3 mags and a rookie shaking hands. Private Allen flinched but kept pressing bandages on Jenkins' chest. The wounded soldier's breaths came in ragged wheezes. His blood had soaked Allen's gloves dark red. Shut up, Diaz, Hawk snapped, though his tone carried no venom, only focus. We don't have the luxury of despair. We fight smart, not hard. Diaz snorted. With what? Harsh language. Hawk leaned close, eyes like steel. With every ounce of grit we've got left. We're still alive. That means we've got a choice. Run blind and die, or think and make him pay for every inch. Ramirez gave a thin smile. I'll vote for making him bleed, Sergeant. The weight of command. Hawk knew the odds. Reinforcements were moving in with numbers and firepower that dwarfed their shredded squad. But retreat wasn't just about saving his men, it was about dragging Jenkins out alive. No man left behind wasn't a slogan to Hawk. It was a code. Diaz, you've got the saw. That makes you anchor. You and Ramirez set up on that rise. He pointed to a rocky outcrop offering some line of sight. You buy us breathing room. Alan, you're with me. We move Jenkins slow and steady. Once you 2 lay fire, we'll bound back through the gorge. Link up there. Diaz frowned. And if they cut us off? Then we make sure they choke on it, Hawk said simply. There was no bravado in his voice, just fact. That steadied Diaz more than any speech. The fire begins. The night ripped open with gunfire as Diaz and Ramirez opened up. The saw's stuttering roar echoed down the valley, chewing sparks out of the rocks. Ramirez's precise shots picked targets clean, dropping shadows before they could find cover. The enemy staggered but pressed forward. Muzzle flashes sparked in reply, bullets whipping and cracking through the darkness. Go, go, go. Hawk barked. He and Allen half-dragged, half-carried Jenkins across the uneven ground, ducking as rounds stitched dirt around them. Allen's voice was tight with fear. Sergeant, he's bleeding faster. He's not gonna? Don't say it, kid. He's still breathing. That means he's coming. Hawk shifted Jenkins' weight across his shoulders, grunting through the burn. Focus on your sector, not his chances. Allen swallowed hard, nodded and kept moving. A sudden push. The enemy adapted quickly. Instead of charging into Diaz's fire, they spread out wider, pushing into the rocks on both sides. Hawk saw the pattern instantly. They were flanking. Diaz, they're circling. Hawk shouted. Diaz cursed, tilting his gun to sweep left. Can't hold both sides. Ramirez's voice cracked over comms. Sergeant, they're fast. Give the word and we pull. Not yet. Bleed him first. Hawk's jaw tightened. Every second Diaz and Ramirez held gave him and Allen distance. But seconds had a cost. A rocket screamed, slamming into Diaz's perch. The explosion threw dirt and fire into the night. Hawk's stomach clenched. Diaz. The saw coughed once, twice, then fell silent. Broken line. Hawk's chest tightened as static filled his comms. Then faintly, Still here, still here. Bastards winged me, but I'm good. Diaz's ragged voice steadied the squad. Ramirez dragged Diaz behind cover, both still firing, but Hawk knew their line wouldn't hold much longer. The enemy were tightening, relentless. Alan, faster. Hawk grunted, hauling Jenkins over rubble. His wounded arm screamed with every pull, but he ignored it. Pain was luxury, time wasn't. Alan stumbled but pushed, teeth clenched, sweat streaking dirt across his face. The rookie had shed fear, replaced with grim determination. They reached the mouth of the gorge just as Ramirez and Diaz broke contact, sprinting down after them, rounds sparking at their heels. Everyone still breathing? Hawk demanded, shoving Jenkins against the wall. Barely, Diaz panted. His arm was scorched, blood running down his sleeve. Ramirez looked carved from stone, eyes flat, rifle steady. For now, Ramirez said. But they'll be on us any second. The gorge gauntlet. The gorge was narrow, walls jagged and close. Good choke point. Also a trap if the enemy pressed hard. Hawk scanned the terrain, high ledges, loose rock, tight funnels. They could turn it into a kill zone of their own. Diaz saw on that ledge. Ramirez, you cover the rear. Alan, ammo count. 2 mags, Sergeant. Then make every round matter. Hawk set Jenkins down, propping him behind rock. You're gonna make it, soldier. Just stay with us. Jenkins' eyes fluttered, lips cracked. He whispered, don't leave me. Hawk gripped his shoulder, voice steady. Not a chance. The enemy crashes in. The first enemy wave poured into the gorge like a flood. Diaz opened up, the saw roaring in long, brutal bursts. Bodies dropped, but more pushed in, shouting war cries that echoed off stone. Ramirez picked them clean, one after another, calm as if on a range. 1 down. 2 down. Left flank, crack. Gone. Alan fired shakily at first, then steadied, his shots snapping precise. Hawk felt a flicker of pride. The kid was learning fast, in fire. Grenades tumbled in. Hawk grabbed one, hurling it back before it detonated. Another exploded too close, showering them with rock. Diaz groaned, clutching his ribs but kept firing. The gorge became hell, dust, smoke, blood, muzzle flashes lighting faces twisted with fury. Hawk's men fought like cornered wolves, each decision measured in lives. Holding the line. Minutes dragged like hours. The enemy's momentum slowed as their dead piled in the choke point. But Hawk knew it wouldn't last. For every squad broken, another lurked in the dark. Ammo check. Hawk barked. Down to half a belt. Diaz shouted. 2 rounds left in the chamber, Ramirez said flatly. Alan glanced at his mag, eyes wide. 1 left, Sergeant. Hawk looked at his rifle, last mag nearly dry. His gut twisted. They were out of time. Then Ramirez stiffened, eyes narrowing. Lights. Behind them. Vehicles. Hawk followed his gaze. Headlights bounced in the distance. Technicals. Reinforcements with mounted guns. They wouldn't survive another push. The desperate decision. For the first time that night, Hawk hesitated. Every choice so far had consequences, but this one would decide if any of them walked out. He waited, stay and fight until wiped or abandon Jenkins to run light. The thought twisted his gut like barbed wire. Alan's voice cracked the silence. We don't leave him, Sergeant. You said. The rookie's eyes were fierce, not pleading. A soldier now demanding the code be honored. Hawk nodded slowly. You're damn right we don't. He turned to Diaz and Ramirez. New plan. We're not holding, we're running. Diaz, you rig that wall with your last grenades. When those trucks roll in, you drop it on their heads. Diaz's grin was wolfish. Finally, some fun. Ramirez, your point. Alan, rear guard. I'll haul Jenkins. Hawk's eyes burned. We move fast, we move silent, we vanish before they know where we went. The escape. They slipped out through a narrow fissure in the gorge, barely wide enough for men to squeeze through. Hawk staggered under Jenkins' weight, every muscle screaming, but he refused to let go. Behind them, Diaz's grenades detonated. The gorge roared as stone collapsed, crushing vehicles and men alike. The ground trembled under Hawk's boots. Nice work, Ramirez muttered. Diaz limped, bleeding but grinned. Told you. Fun. They pressed deeper into the mountains, shadows swallowing them whole. The night grew quieter, except for Jenkins' rasping breath and their own pounding hearts. For a moment hope flickered. The shadow returns. Then Ramirez froze, raising his fist. The squad halted instantly. What is it? Hawk whispered. Ramirez's voice was low, grim. We're being watched. A faint glint answered from the ridge above. The sniper. The same phantom from before, or another ghost taking his place. A single shot cracked. Dust exploded inches from Hawk's boot. The silence of the mountains shattered again. The shadowed sniper was back. The mountains seemed to breathe. Wind curled between jagged ridges, carrying whispers of sand and ash. Sergeant James Hawk Hawkins crouched behind a cluster of rocks, chest heaving from the weight of Jenkins on his back. Every muscle screamed, but he forced silence into his body. Movement meant survival. Noise meant death. And death was out there. Waiting. Watching. The shot had been deliberate, too close to miss, too far to hit. A warning. A taunt. Sergeant? Allen's whisper was shaky. His young eyes flicked to the ridgeline above them, wide and white. He's still here. Ramirez crouched low, his rifle sweeping the dark with a hunter's patience. Not just here. Stalking us. Diaz leaned heavily on the rocks, ribs still wrapped in makeshift bandages. He spat blood into the dirt, grimacing. One bastard with a long gun's got us pinned like rats. Where's the fairness in that? There's no fairness, Hawk murmured. His voice was low, iron steady. Only who's faster. He set Jenkins down carefully, checking the man's pulse. Weak but steady. The soldier muttered nonsense through cracked lips, caught between dreams and agony. Hawk placed a hand on his chest. Stay alive. I'm not burying you here. The phantom sniper. The squad pressed deeper into the crags, moving only when the wind gusted to mask their steps. Hawk led them along shadowed ledges, always with one ear tuned for the telltale crack of the rifle. The sniper never fired twice in a row. He never revealed his nest. A glint here, a whisper there, then silence. Each shot herded them like sheep. Ramirez crouched beside Hawk, whispering. This isn't random. He's driving us somewhere. Into a trap? Allen asked, voice trembling. Always a trap, Diaz grunted. Question is, do we walk into it or make him walk into ours? Hawk's eyes narrowed. His instinct screamed. Whoever this sniper was, he wasn't ordinary Taliban militia. This was a professional. Patient. Calculated. Almost familiar. We flipped the board, Hawk decided. He's hunting us. So we hunt him. Setting the bait. They found a narrow ravine choked with boulders. Hawk gestured sharply. Diaz, you and Allen take Jenkins into that hollow. Keep low, no noise. Ramirez, you're with me. Diaz frowned. And you're planning what? Waving your arms till he takes a shot at you? Close enough, Hawk said. His lips tightened into a grim smile. Snipers love patterns. They live for predictable movement. I'm about to give him exactly what he wants. Diaz shook his head, muttering. Crazy bastard. Allen's voice cracked. But, what if you get hit? Then you take Jenkins and run till your boots bleed, Hawk said flatly. He squeezed Allen's shoulder. But I don't plan on getting hit. The decoy walk. Hawk stepped into the open. Every nerve in his body screamed to dive for cover, but he forced his stride into slow, deliberate movements. A silhouette against stone. A tempting target. The valley was silent. Too silent. Then, crack. The round hit rock inches from his head, spraying shards. Hawk dove rolling behind a boulder. His ears rang. Ramirez was already prone, eyes locked down his scope. Gotcha, you ghost. But the ridge was empty. No muzzle flash, no silhouette. Only shadows. He's gone, Ramirez hissed. Not gone, Hawk muttered. Relocated. Another shot cracked from their flank. Dirt spat inches from Ramirez's rifle. The phantom had moved faster than seemed possible. Diaz swore over comms. He's toying with us. Cat and mouse. For the next hour it was a deadly game. The sniper fired single, surgical shots, not to kill but to herd. Each bullet forced them deeper into the maze of cliffs. Hawk felt the noose tightening. Ramirez growled low. This isn't some ragtag fighter. This guy's trained. Military trained. Hawk's mind raced. He remembered rumors whispered through FOBs, about a foreign mercenary embedded with local fighters, a ghost sniper who'd chalked up American kills from Helmand to Kandahar. No one had ever confirmed it. But Hawk was starting to believe. Allen's voice trembled through comms. Sergeant, why doesn't he just finish us? Because he's patient, Hawk said. He wants us broken. Exhausted. Easy. Then we break him first, Ramirez snarled. Laying the trap. Hawk scanned the jagged terrain and spotted a collapsed ridgeline, a natural funnel. Narrow entry, broad kill zone. Perfect. We make a stand here, Hawk said. Ramirez, high perch. Diaz, you watch left flank. Alan. The rookie straightened, gripping his rifle tight. What about me, Sergeant? You're bait, Hawk said bluntly. Alan blinked, pale. Bait? You'll fake exposure, Hawk explained. Flash a helmet on a stick, draw his shot. Ramirez tags him when he fires. Alan swallowed. And if Ramirez misses? Then we improvise, Hawk said. His eyes locked on the kids. You trust me? Alan hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I do. Good. Then we end this. The waiting. They set the trap. Diaz crouched in shadows, saw aimed steady. Ramirez nestled into a sniper's perch, finger caressing his trigger. Hawk crouched beside Alan, who trembled as he held Jenkins' bloodied helmet on a rifle. The night dragged. Silence pressed heavy. Every second without a shot was torture. Then, crack. The helmet exploded, fragments spinning into the dark. Now! Hawk barked. Ramirez's rifle boomed, echoing across the ridge. A figure jerked, stumbling from cover, silhouette framed for the briefest second. Hit. Ramirez growled. He's bleeding, moving south. Hawk surged forward. On me. The chase. They sprinted through the crags, boots hammering stone, lungs burning. Blood drops streaked the rocks, dark, fresh. The sniper was fast but wounded. Don't let him vanish. Hawk roared. Diaz panted behind him. Crazy son of a bitch is leading us again. I don't care. This ends tonight. Hawk's eyes burned. They rounded a bend and there he was. The sniper, tall and lean, dragging a rifle as he staggered through shadows. His face was hidden under a dark scarf, eyes cold and gleaming even in moonlight. For a heartbeat, predator and prey locked eyes. Then the sniper raised a pistol, firing wildly. Hawk dove rolling, firing back. Ramirez flanked, his rifle barking. Diaz unleashed a burst from the saw, forcing the sniper down behind rocks. The air filled with smoke and echoes. The duel. Ramirez circle right. Diaz suppress. Hawk barked, sliding into cover. The sniper fired with impossible precision, rounds snapping near Hawk's head. Even wounded, he was lethal. Hawk edged closer, heart pounding. He wasn't just fighting for survival now, this was personal. This ghost had haunted them all night, pushed them to the brink. Hawk wanted his face, his name, his end. He shouted over the chaos. Who the hell are you? A low laugh drifted back. Cold. Mocking. Then silence. The final move. Ramirez's voice crackled. I've got angle. Say the word. Hawk steadied, listening. The wind. The silence. His gut. Wait, Hawk whispered. Seconds dragged. Then, the faint scrape of boot on stone. The sniper rose, rifle braced, lining up Diaz. Now! Hawk roared. Ramirez's shot cracked. The sniper jerked violently, stumbling back, his weapon clattering against rock. Hawk charged, slamming into him before he could recover. They crashed hard, rolling across the dirt. Hawk ripped the scarf from his face. And froze. The man beneath wasn't Taliban. Not even Afghan. Pale skin, scarred jaw, ice blue eyes that burned with cold intelligence. European. Mercenary. Trained. The sniper bared bloody teeth in a grin. Too slow, Sergeant. He jerked a knife free, slashing upward. Hawk caught his wrist, muscles straining, rage burning through exhaustion. With a roar, he twisted, driving the blade into the sniper's chest. The man gasped once, then stilled. Aftermath. Silence fell. The phantom was dead. Hawk staggered back, chest heaving, staring at the body. A mercenary. Paid to kill them. But by who? Ramirez approached, rifle still trained. You did it. Diaz limped closer, shaking his head. Crazy bastard almost took us all. Alan jogged up, eyes wide as he stared at the corpse. He wasn't local. No, Hawk muttered, jaw tight. He was something else. And that means someone sent him. He stood, shoulders heavy, eyes scanning the endless night. This wasn't just about us. This was bigger. Behind them, Jenkins groaned faintly, clinging to life. Ahead, the mountains stretched endless, enemy patrols still hunting. The sniper was gone. But the war wasn't. Not by a long shot. The blast wave from the IED rolled through the convoy like a gut punch from hell. The lead MRAP lifted clear off the dirt road, slammed back down, and belched a column of black smoke. Men shouted, dust filled the sky, and the rhythm of gunfire broke into chaos. Staff Sergeant Cole Rivers didn't think. He just moved. Contact front. Get out, he bellowed, already diving for cover behind the second truck's armored. Oh. His rifle snapped into his shoulder, his sights cutting through the haze. Rounds cracked past. Enemy fire stitched through the vehicles, sparking steel, shredding dirt. Shadows moved along the ridgeline ahead, disorganized but dangerous. The ambush was sprung and they were caught in its teeth. Holding the line. Wilson. Smoke. Now. Cole roared. The grenadier popped canisters, white plumes spilling outward, cloaking the open kill zone. The men who weren't stunned from the blast began returning fire. Doc Ramirez was already sprinting forward, reckless, brave, as he dragged Private Mills clear of the burning lead truck. Cole covered him, 3 quick bursts pinning a hostile sniper ducking behind rocks. Ramirez. You good? Not for long if you keep drawing fire my way, Sarge. Ramirez grunted, heaving Mills into cover. Blood poured down the kid's arm, but he was breathing. The battlefield screamed with metal, lead, and fear. Cole felt it crawl under his skin, but discipline overrode panic. Training was oxygen. Alpha suppressed the ridge. Bravo, flank left with me. He knew what they had to do. Sitting still meant dying where they knelt. Breaking the ambush. They bounded forward in short, violent bursts, 2 men firing while 2 moved. It was ugly, loud, but effective. Cole's boots hammered the earth. His lungs burned. His rifle cracked until the barrel steamed. They reached the ridge's base under withering fire, grenades arcing upward like thrown dice of fate. The enemy broke before the Americans' momentum. Shadows scrambled back into the mountains, firing sporadically. Cole ordered his team to chase just far enough to clear the high ground. Don't get sucked in. Hold the line here, he snapped, dragging his men into a defensive arc. The ambush melted away. The silence after was sharper than the noise, broken only by groans of the wounded and the hiss of burning diesel. Cole's heart hammered. His hands shook as he reloaded, a tremor he couldn't hide anymore. Casualties. They had 4 wounded, 1 critical. Mills was pale, lips blue as Doc worked frantically. Stay with me, kid. You're not dying in this dirt, Ramirez muttered, pressing gauze into the shredded shoulder. Corporal Hayes approached Cole, face grim. Sergeant, we lost Norton. He didn't make it out of the truck. The word stabbed deeper than any shrapnel. Norton, always the joker, always the one cracking dumb lines about chow hall food, was gone. Just like that. Cole nodded, jaw tight. Tag him. We bring him home. He couldn't let the men see him break. Later, maybe. Not now. Sergeant, what now? Hayes asked. Cole forced clarity into his voice. We hold until exfil. Get comms up. Tell command we're combat ineffective, requesting bird for medevac and extract. The radio hissed. Nothing. Just static. Wilson frowned. Signals jammed, Sarge. Or dead. The ridge loomed above them like a mocking shadow. Cole realized this wasn't over. Nightfall. Hours crawled by. They moved what was left of the convoy into a tight perimeter, stacking sandbags, setting up claymores. The desert bled into night, and with it came silence too heavy to trust. Cole sat against a scorched tire, helmet in his lap, staring at Norton's body wrapped in a tarp. He forced himself to memorize the shape. It was his duty. Every man mattered. Ramirez joined him, hands stained with blood. Mills might pull through if the bird gets here soon. But if we're stuck by morning, he didn't finish. Cole grunted. He'll make it. He has to. The medic's eyes searched his. And you, Sarge? You holding together? Cole almost laughed, bitter and dry. Holding? Hell, I don't know. I'm just keeping one boot in front of the other. Ramirez smirked. That's enough for me. A crack echoed from the ridge. A single shot. Cole's instinct screamed. Down. The round tore through a crate inches from his head. A sniper. Watching. Waiting. The shadow returns. Through NVGs, Cole scanned the dark ridges. He caught a flicker of movement, barely a shift of shadow. It wasn't random fire. This shooter was patient, deliberate. The same ghost from the earlier ambush? Cole's gut said yes. He grabbed Wilson. Spotter. With me. Rest of you stay down. No skylines. They crawled low, belly to dust, weaving through wreckage until they had an angle. Cole peered through his scope, heart steady despite the thump in his chest. There. A faint outline among rocks. Almost invisible. Got him? Cole whispered. Wilson breathed. Looks like he's alone. Cole exhaled slowly, squeezed the trigger. The shadow vanished. A decoy. A second shot whined past Wilson's helmet. The sniper was toying with them. Cole's rage flared. This bastard's not getting another of my men. The hunt. He made a call then that would either save them, or damn them. Cover me. I'm going up. Wilson blinked. Sarge, that's suicide. Cole shook his head. That's leadership. Before Wilson could argue, Cole moved. He scaled the ridge under moonlight, sticking to dead ground, pausing with each breath. His mind quieted. He was no longer Staff Sergeant Cole Rivers. He was just a soldier hunting another in the dark. Each step mattered. Each sound mattered. At the top, the desert stretched silent and endless. Then he saw it, just a silhouette, rifle barrel jutting from stone. The sniper's scope glinted faintly as it swept across the convoy below. Cole didn't think. He pounced. The two men slammed together in a brutal tangle. The sniper fought like a demon, a knife flashing in his hand. Cole blocked, countered, fists pounding. The fight was savage, animalistic. No tactics, just survival. The blade scraped his vest. Cole rammed his forehead into the man's nose, breaking cartilage with a crunch. He wrenched the rifle free and aimed point blank. For a heartbeat he hesitated. The sniper wasn't much older than Mills. A kid caught on the other side of someone else's war. The hesitation almost killed him. The sniper slashed upward, slicing Cole's forearm. Pain flared. Cole pulled the trigger. The shot echoed, final and heavy. The shadow fell still. Extraction. At dawn, the rescue bird finally came. Medevac rotors thundered overhead, a sound like salvation. They loaded the wounded first, Mills pale but alive, clutching Ramirez's hand. They loaded Norton last. Silence hung over the squad as the tarp-covered body was carried aboard. Cole lingered a moment, staring at the ridge. Smoke curled lazily from burned-out vehicles. The battlefield was theirs, but victory tasted hollow. As he climbed aboard, Ramirez nudged him. "You did good, Sarge. You brought us out." Cole gave a tired smile. "Yeah, but I keep thinking, for how long? How many more times can we roll these dice?" The medic didn't answer. The bird lifted, carrying them away from the valley of death. Below, the desert swallowed the wreckage whole. Epilogue, the ghost of war. Back at base, debriefs blurred into paperwork, medals promised to soothe wounds no metal could touch. The men tried to laugh again, thin, brittle laughter that cracked too easily. Cole sat alone outside the barracks one night, staring at the stars. His bandaged arm ached. His mind replayed the fight on the ridge. The sniper's eyes haunted him, not full of hate but of something else. Fear. Resolve? Ramirez found him there, dropping a canteen at his feet. "You're still in the fight, brother? That counts for something." Cole nodded, but his thoughts lingered. Because in his gut, he knew the war wasn't done. Somewhere out there, more shadows waited. And one day soon he'd be climbing another ridge, chasing another ghost. The night was silent. Too silent. And Staff Sergeant Cole Rivers wondered how many more silences he would have to break before this war ever ended. The end.